guys, and welcome back to another episode of TECSpertZ. My name is Nick Green, the News and Sports Director at WZMB.
I'm Garrett Skillman. I'm the sports editor for the East Carolinian.
I'm Caleb Johnson, sports reporter for the East Carolinian.
I'm Ken Gates, station manager for WZMB.
And we are back again with yet again another episode of TECSpertZ, where we're going to talk about all things that just happened in the ECU sports world, specifically talking about ECU baseball this week, where we had a pretty decent week, to say the least. I mean, we got a weekend sweep. We lost on Tuesday to Duke, which we'll talk about here in just a second. But at the end of the day, 2AU comes through with a weekend sweep, and it was a great weekend for that. So let's go ahead and jump right on into it. Gentlemen, what did you think about the last four games?
Duke game, it's mainly just the Pollard Godwin thing. That was the main thing. Duke was being very chippy the whole game, and finally kind of just all came to a head, and both of them got ejected, Godwin and Pollard for Duke. The funniest part was Godwin was walking off the field with his bag, walks up the steps. Like, that was pretty funny.
I think he slipped.
And that was the first time the season's been thrown out. I think, because a lot of people talk about how many times he's going to get thrown out this year.
Yeah.
Number one. I don't know if maybe the state game, but outside of that,
Depends.
I feel for him it's kind of more how the teams are.
It depends on the umpiring of the games.
Because it depends on how the teams are and how chippy they are.
That's true.
Duke was being very chippy, and Pollard was being kind of,
Came all
bad.
the way out across.
Yeah, so
the
like
box.
Godwin obviously was going to do it too. That's just how he is.
Yeah.
So number one this season, number one for Godwin this year. But outside of that Duke game, we kept it close. That was going to be a tough one. We all knew it. In the midweek game, like Caleb said last week, it's kind of our worst enemy is the midweek game. And so we kept it close. We couldn't get it done, but they fought hard on that one. And then the Rice series, for their Friday and Saturday guy, the McCracken and the Hickson guy, both, especially McCracken, pitched out of his mind. Like, that's probably the best he'll ever pitch. And then the Hickson guy, he's a preseason American first team guy, so he pitched well. I thought the McCracken guy looked better. But outside of that, the Rice series, it was nothing special outside of Riley finally getting back into the lineup on Saturday and Sunday. Outside of that, nothing. Well, and Jake Hunter. But outside of that, nothing crazy. Did what they need. They did. They got the win. That's all that matters. They got the 3 wins. Should not have been as close, especially on Saturday. But take what you can get sometimes.
Yeah, obviously Duke game, a little bit disappointing. I'm pretty sure we all would have liked to have that one.
Yeah.
That one definitely hurt me a little bit, being raised as a Tar Heel fan, but I was not happy after that. And it was a close game. That Burris home run was sweet. Obviously all the Cliff stuff, that was hilarious. But yeah, this weekend, way to get the sweep. We all expected, and they delivered, so good on them. I just think that ultimately it's going to have to be better down the stretch. I feel like the bats kind of cooled off a little bit this weekend. Norby had a great performance, so as always, hats off to him. I just want to read Jake Hunter's stats as well. 2 innings pitched, 0 earned runs, 0 walks, 5 Ks, 1 for 1, and 1 run scored in his first at-bat ever. Yeah, shout out Big Jake, Mr. Mustache. We had a lot of guys rotating in and out this weekend, which I thought was interesting. Yeah, like Nick Parham, Drew Downs. I actually liked what I saw from Jack Herring. I don't know about you guys. I thought he had some quality at-bats this weekend. I'm going to have to eat this a little bit because I was gassing him up last week, but Braxton Trammell, not a great weekend. Only other thing I could talk about. Oh, that diving play Burris made at second base. Oh my Lord. That is a SportsCenter top 10 play. I hope it was on SportsCenter. I don't know if it was or wasn't. MLB opening weekend, of course it wasn't. But yeah.
Madness too, so.
Yeah.
I still think he got robbed, but
I think Jake Hunter might be my favorite player.
I
think everybody's got a guy. I think that might be my favorite.
I don't hate that. That's a good pick.
When I saw him go up to bat, I didn't believe it was him. Like I started laughing.
I did too.
And then he got a hit, an RBI, and I was like, holy crap. Like,
Dude, him stuffing out the boxes.
yeah, that just added to it. I was
Like, he got a nice little swing of the ball, and the guy goes like that.
Whoa, he was like, whoa.
He went with the ball. Oh, that did.
Yeah, but the Duke game, that sucks. Midweek games are kind of our kryptonite. I think we've only won against Gardner-Webb and VCU all season.
Good.
And the Gardner-Webb was too close.
And
That
yeah,
was
that
too
was
close.
way too close of a game. Yeah, that Saturday comeback was pretty awesome to see. And hats off to like Cliff for just changing people in and out of the lineups too.
Yeah.
That was huge. I think we all expected the sweep, except that Saturday game could have been a little bit better. Yeah, I mean we're playing really great ball right now. I mean we've won I think 11 of the last 13 games we played, so we're getting hot at the right time. You know, it's going well.
Absolutely. A good weekend for two-way U, to say the least. I love that nickname, having two-way players now with Colby Wallace and now Jake Hunter, which is very awesome to see. So I respect the two-way player being
Next
your
thing you know,
favorite
you're going to see Big John get up to the mound.
You have no idea how happy I would be if I saw Big John come up to take the bump. That would be awesome. But that being said, yeah, no, I also agree. I think this was an interesting week for ECU baseball because the Duke game, yeah, we kept it close. Don't get me wrong. It was a very winnable game.
Yeah.
I'm actually very frustrated at that game. Specifically, the first inning, we came out swinging, got an early 2-0 lead. It was great. And then proceeded to walk 4 of the batters right there. We had 9 walks and 1 hit by pitch in that game in Duke. That right there was the difference maker right there. I mean, that you can't have that and be successful against a top ACC opponent like Duke is. Yeah, that's just unacceptable, and I know Cliff Godwin has been preaching to these guys, if you got to eliminate the freebies. We did not do that against Duke, and it was very clear about that. And I think that's also another reason why we saw Tyler Albright just get so emotional at that moment when he got walked, because he's like, man, he's already been walked a few times today. Here's another one. This one's going to walk in 1 extra run, an extra insurance run at the end of the game to make it 6-4 instead of 5-4. Hats off to Braden Burris during that. Actually, hats off to Braden Burris just in general.
Yeah.
Like, not just during this weekend, not just during the week. Hats off to Braden Burris. You actually are a phenomenal. You're playing fantastic right now. Probably the hottest playing player on the field. That almost came out very wrong. Hottest playing player on the field right now.
Can I say one thing about Burris? Because I want to bring this up now, since you're bringing it up now.
Yeah.
Has the 7th most at-bats on the team. There is 5 guys above 90, Peltier with 87, and Burris has 76 at-bats. He has the most hits on the team.
That's not surprising.
Like, most hits on
What's
the
his
team.
average?
395.
He is absolutely killing it right
Because
now.
he's at 30 hits, and then Dixon, who's at 96 at-bats, has 29 hits. Colby's at 29 hits with 102 at-bats. Walker's at 28 hits at 100 at-bats.
Yeah.
That's
So,
ridiculous.
like,
A
that's
walk-on
pretty-
too, guys.
Yeah.
A walk-on.
Yeah, when I saw it, I didn't
Best
realize
walk-on
that.
in the country right there. That is the best walk-on in the country. I
Baseball.
reposted that on TikTok. Somebody made that post, and I gladly reposted
Somebody's got to make
that.
like an edit of them, you know.
Oh yeah, that's it.
TikTok
I
edits.
gladly reposted that one when I saw it on my For You page. But needless to say, Braden Burris, big shout out to you. This is by far big shout out to Jake Hunter, and also big shout out to Cliff Godwin. We saw the emotions get hot against Duke, and to be honest, it fired me up. I was watching on the couch. I was very excited. I was like, all right, let's go, baby. Cliff Godwin's ready to fight for these boys. Let's have the boys show some fight. Unfortunately, Braden Burris is the only one to get a hit in the top of the 9th inning, and that was it. But at the same time, it was just, I was fired up for the, 15 minutes that was after that.
I was doing like 3 things during that Duke game, and all of
Yeah.
a sudden I look up and see Cliff. I was like, what's going on?
I was like, oh, this is
And then
awesome.
it shows the replay of Albright, so I was like, all right.
I was like, yep, there it
I
is.
see them.
But yeah, so absolutely big shout out. But at the same time, the Saturday game was really interesting to me because you're right. We used so many players on Saturday, and it seemed like nobody was feeling themselves at the very beginning of the game. I mean, the first 3 innings, we kept the same starting rotation in there, the same starting lineup in, and nobody's really doing anything. It kind of was just like, okay, we're kind of dulling out. And instead of Cliff Godwin being like, all right, we're not having our best game, he's like, all right, fine. let's throw these bench guys in. Let's see what they can do. And it worked out to us. I mean, we had Jake Hunter getting that bat. Dude's over here pitching, striking out the side, and then we decide, you know what, let's give him a that bat. And he absolutely rips one in the right field. It's great. I mean, it was beautiful. You love to see it, and it's really just, it's great to see all around.
And it's like Caleb said, Jack Herring had a clutch. Clutch hit.
He did, and so it's really good to see these guys step up in ways that they haven't normally, especially since they haven't been playing all year long. It's good to see these guys, and I think that's just hats off to Cliff Godwin for that, for being able to do that, and just being like, all right, you know what, we're down 3-0. These guys aren't playing great right now. Let's throw in these guys. Let's throw in the guys who we haven't
back
seen.
here, you have Horn playing first, Burris playing second. Like, it does not matter.
It didn't matter at all, and it was great to see, to be honest with you. It worked out. We ended up getting a 5-3 win in 11 innings. So great. That's just absolutely awesome. So hats off for that. And we ended up getting the series sweep on Sunday, winning 8-5. Gentlemen, we saw the return of Riley Johnson this week. While he didn't record a hit, he obviously made a big impact on the field. What were your thoughts on his return in general?
Yeah, I mean, 0 for 3, 1 walk, 1 run scored, 1 RBI, 2 strikeouts. I mean, you can't expect a guy who hasn't played baseball in 6 months to come out there and be his prolific self, but, he came in there, got a run scored for us. I think you can't really ask much more of him. He looked good in the field, so can't really complain there too much.
How kind of Riley Johnson is as a player, pretty happy with what happened. I mean, that's kind of what he does, is the sacrifice stuff and all that. You saw it differently because he was batting in the 5-hole on Saturday and the 4-hole on Sunday. But, I mean, Saturday it was a little rough. You could tell he was kind of getting back into it. But Sunday, looked very good. The bunt was very nice by him. He scored a run. I believe he drove in a run, if I'm not mistaken, on that bunt. I mean, Riley is just such a guy who, when he's out there, just brings a spark. And it doesn't matter if he's not getting the hits, but he's out there, he's providing great defense. There was one that, just tell how much he wanted to be out there. Not because there's anything special, but the ball drops. He stutter steps 9 times, just grabs it, throws it in. That's so minuscule. Yeah. Even the announcer brought up when a guy like that is back for you, the baseball, the EC baseball, their Instagram post, he's back of him behind all them. Yeah. That's cool to see. When you have a guy like that, it just brings a spark to your team, no matter what. Even if he doesn't play at all. It's kind of spark how Parker Bird brings a spark how he does. He doesn't play, but he brings something to the table because how on earth is this guy doing this? And it's kind of not Parker at all, but kind of how Riley, he's had the double shoulder surgeries. This guy can pretty much fall apart at any moment because of the injury stuff, but he does not care. He's going to go give it his all for you. And that's the kind of guy that's why he's a captain. That's why he is who he is. And that's why, Pirate fans love Riley Johnson, because it doesn't matter. He's going to bring something to you no matter what. It doesn't matter what he does on the field. He can bat 0 for 4 or 4 strikeouts. He's going to bring something.
Yeah, I don't know how I follow that up. That was pretty dang good. You can't ask for much more, and it's only going to get better, even though he didn't get a hit. He had a sacrifice bunt. Yeah, Cliff loves him. Pirate Nation loves him. Everybody loves him. He's going to be important for us for the rest of the season. So,
I think it was just great seeing the veteran leadership of Riley Johnson back in that lineup again. I mean, you're right. He didn't record a hit. That's okay. He hasn't played baseball in a long time, guys. That will come. I'm not worried about Riley Johnson whatsoever in terms of when he steps up to the plate. I trust him 100%. And whether he's laying down a bunt, whether we're swinging with him, it doesn't matter. I trust Riley Johnson. You trust the veteran leadership that he brings to this team to just be smart and be a smart baseball player. And that's what he brings to the table, especially when you have a lineup of, I think, 4, 5, 6 freshmen. I mean, we got a bunch in there. He brings that veteran leadership. He's got the experience that we really need on this team right now, and it's great to see. Obviously, he's had the impact in the dugout. He's been in the dugout this whole time, but just seeing him back on the field, the way he's hustling for the ball, the stutter steps there, it's just he has such an energy to him that you love to see it on the field. Riley Johnson by far he's fantastic center fielder, and seeing him back out there again was awesome. He plays with 100% effort every single time. You can't ask for much more than that. Like I said, we'll see him. He'll really pick it up as the year progresses. But I'm really happy about it. And I mean, speaking of bunts Central on Sunday. We had how many bunts?
7.
7 bunts on Sunday. It seemed clear to me that Cliff Godwin was trying to send a message to this team that anybody and everybody is going to be expected and willing to bunt. That's what I took away from it anyway. Maybe you guys took
The
away
most
something
in the
different,
Cliff Godwin era by 3.
Yeah.
And our tied our school record, and that was in 1987.
Yeah, so small ball's back in Greenville. Good. We needed it back. We need to be able to drive in some runs. I'm happy about that. And Riley Johnson definitely plays a big role in terms of bunting. As we saw him do it a lot last year. We'll see him do it more this year just because of the speed he has and just his ability, just his smart baseball IQ in general.
Yeah. What I wanted to say about that is everyone talks about how we are like small ball like it does not matter who's gonna bunt, but we had in the Cliff Godwin era the 7, like most he's had by 3, most is 4, and you talk about it. It's mainly because this team is just so much different, like constructed than years past. Yeah. Like last year, you had JJC, you had Cunningham. Like these guys aren't gonna bunt, unless they really, really have to. Like in the 3rd inning, whenever you need, it's a 0-0 ball game. Let's get a run on the board, but like even then, you don't see as much because this guy can also go hit a bomb to Charles Boulevard at any moment. With this team, it's just much more different. Like you haven't seen as many bombs this year, besides against kind of the lower opponents like the Gardner Webb and the VCU and the whoever it is, William and Mary. Like you're not seeing it as much, and that's because that's just how this team is so much more different. You're going to see more bunts. You're going to see more hard singles through the first and second base in the right field, through third and short. You're going to see them playing the mind games a lot more because that's just how this team is. It's just so much differently constructed than it usually is and has been in years past.
Yeah. Absolutely on that. Nonetheless, we got our second sweep in conference play of the year. 6-0 in conference play before going into 2 midweek games.
First in the American.
First in the American as it stands right now. We'll play UNCW as we're recording this on Monday. So we'll play UNCW tomorrow, Elon on Wednesday. We talked about those a little bit last week, so we're not really going to dive into that too much. But we got another home weekend series against FAU this upcoming weekend before we play NC State on Tuesday. Gentlemen, big stretch of games coming up right now. What are your thoughts, expectations going into the next week?
I mean, we're kind of in a sticky spot because it's like we got 2 midweek games. We're playing the best conference opponent that we've seen all year yet. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of where we end up in terms of using these pitchers because 2 midweek games and then a three game weekend series. So we got 5 total games this week and then another game on Tuesday. So we're gonna see the depths of this bullpen. I think we're gonna see guys like Taylor Grubbs and stuff like that we haven't seen all year. Like we're gonna be going into the depths. Yeah, exactly. I don't expect us to beat Wilmington at all. I just don't.
He's honest.
Yeah, I believe we're going to UNCW.
We are.
So yeah, I don't expect to win that game at all. I do expect to beat Elon. They're not very good from my understanding. FAU this weekend, I think we go 2-1. Just because the lack of depth in the bullpen. But maybe we see the return of Towers and Analik this week.
Please,
finally.
please.
It would be very timely based on the
Yes,
situation.
It would be.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So that would be huge. But yeah, I think we go 3-2 through the stretch. That's my prediction.
I'm gonna go with 4-1. I think even though
it was the one loss too.
I think it has to be NCW.
Okay.
I don't want it to be. My guess is tomorrow night. We're recording this on Monday. If I had a guess right now, you're probably going to see Nick Moran on the bump or Jake Hunter. I'd say one of the two will start the game. Because Jake started the last midweek game. He didn't play any on Sunday, so it depends on how they want to use him. Nick's, he did have a lot on Saturday, a lot on his plate, and had pitched that last midweek game we had against Duke. I think he would honestly set the tone better than Moran, but Moran has looked very solid for us. I've liked what we got out of him.
He's still leading the team in
He
ERA.
is. Okay. He's still under 1.
They just pull him so early. Every
Yeah.
time. He faces like 1 or 2 batters and then he's out.
Yeah, and so I would like to see Jake, I think, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Jake and then maybe see Jaden Winter start the game against Elon. I think that's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think Jaden Winter is for sure happening. I think he'll start against Elon. That makes sense. He started, I believe, against Gardner Webb or VCU, one of the two. I think it would just make sense to see him start against Elon. I always like seeing a couple good quality Jaden Winter. I think it's whenever he can't provide them. But yeah, I think he's right. We're gonna see everybody. We're gonna see Beschloss, Irby, Grubbs, maybe someone we haven't even seen yet. And I don't even know who that is because we pretty much use all of them. I feel like, but maybe
we see Parker Bird on the bump.
We can see a position. We can see a position guy on the bump. You never really know. On maybe it's against Elon. I don't know who that would be, but you never know. It could happen. I would also like to see against Elon. We talked about it last week. Is seeing some other guys get in there and start and play. Maybe Clinch behind the plate, Ligara in the infield, Parham in the infield. A guy like Whitaker, we see Whitaker decent up, like Chance Hall, maybe. Maybe get Chance Hall out there. We've really only seen him pinch run. I think he's got like 1 at bat on the year, maybe 2. I would like to see a lot of different things, especially against Elon, because like Caleb said, we should handle business pretty well. But I'm gonna go 4-1. It's tough. It's really tough. I would not be surprised. I also would not hate giving our all to beat UNCW. Giving our all to beat them because we need it, honestly. But I've also talked about before in here. I think a conference, 3-game series means a lot more than that midweek game, even though it's a in-state rival and you want to win. Happened against Duke, we threw 5-6 guys against Duke. It's tough. I'm gonna go 4-1. Even though I would like to give our all against UNCW, I don't think we should.
Especially because we have 2 teams that are 1 game behind us in conference.
Yeah, we need conference wins. I know that, FAU is a good opponent, but I know that UNCW would help our RPI a lot more, but at the same time, you need just to get wins sometimes. And FAU would provide that more than the UNCW one would. I'd rather drop one. It hurts more if it's an in-state rival, but you also you need the wins in conference. So I'm gonna go 4-1. I think we should try to give our all against UNCW, like pitching wise and throwing as many guys. Because Friday night, more likely you're gonna see Norby and then you're gonna see either Brad Pruitt or Ethan Young, like how it's been for the last few weeks. And then Saturday you probably throw 4 or 5 guys. Sunday you probably throw 4 or 5 guys. But we'll see what happens. I'm gonna go 4-1. I want to be as optimistic as possible there. I just don't think we go 5-0. It's gonna be really tough.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go 4-1 too. I really want to win these next 2 games because I think we need that. But I don't know if I can do it. I don't know. All right, I'm going to go 4-1. These next 2 games we win, Elon and UNCW. Then we drop 1 game to FAU on Sunday. I think Sunday's going to be the loss. I think we're getting hot at the right time. That's the only reason why I'm saying we can win these next 2 games. And Riley Johnson coming back, that's just a huge spark. It's kind of like the glue guy, if you will.
Yeah.
I think we'll see a lot of people, honestly. Especially with Cliff, he will throw anybody, and he'll throw anybody.
He even set the tone even more on that with Hunter getting an at-bat.
That's right.
I'm going to go 4-1 too, but I think these next 2 games we can win, for sure.
It's probably gonna be like 2-3 or something.
No, it's not gonna be 2-3. I'm between 4-1 and 3-2. I am gonna say 4-1 because of my Pirate fandom, but I could also see the 3-2.
Yeah.
UNCW.
Make up your mind, bud. It's a 3-2.
I said 4-1. Come on now, if you were listening, you wouldn't hear that. I said
I
I'm
heard
gonna
it,
go 4-1 for this reason, but come on, he doesn't like to listen to me. Granted, if he has to listen to me all day, every day, so I understand why he tunes me out sometimes. But UNCW is going to be a tough one, no doubt about it. I mean, we're at UNCW, and I think these gentlemen brought up really good points about it the whole time. I mean, UNCW is a game we would love to win so much for RPI standpoint. At the end of the day, our RPI, we've already lost a lot of those games that would be very beneficial for our RPI. that at this point, I don't think it's as beneficial to win this game as it would be just focusing on the American. And that's really where this is coming from, to be completely honest with you. As much as I want us to give our all against UNCW and boost it just a little bit, I think it's going to be more beneficial to, save some of our better arms for the weekend and just make sure we can dominate the American Conference. I think that's really where we need to kind of focus all our energy, not all our energy, but most of our energy towards this point right now. And that's where I think we're going to drop the UNCW game, because Cliff Godwin's a smart head coach and he's going to kind of realize the situation we're in. And I think that could be what we end up doing. At the same time, Cliff Godwin's also not known for giving up, so we'll see what ends up happening on that too. I can also see him throwing 6 guys against UNCW and keep the pitch count low with all 6, but throwing 6 guys to try our best to get this win, because it would help the RPI, and we want to be as highly ranked as possible by the end of the year to give ourselves the best chance to field a 64. We'll see what ends up happening there, but mentally that's where my head's at with that. Elon, don't really need to say too much about that. I don't think I'm not super concerned about that. Obviously, with me saying that does make me a little concerned, because every time I've said that, it does not end well. But that's the only point of concern I have. If that's the only point of concern I have, I think I'm good with Elon. And then this weekend against FAU, I mean, it's better than FAU's better than both Rice, and they're better than Memphis. So the 2 teams we've already seen in the American Conference. At the same time, they're still not one of the top dogs in the American Conference. No. I'm not super concerned. Do I think we can drop a game to FAU? Absolutely, I think we can. Do I think we will? No. I think our one loss is going to be to UNCW. I think if we focus all our energy towards the conference games, I think we sweep FAU, and our one loss is to UNCW. However, I will say it does make it very interesting having NC State next Tuesday for that reason, because everything I just said about UNCW, how we would need to maybe focus our energy towards the American Conference, that does not apply when NC State comes to town. That does not apply. I want you to throw everybody we got. I want you to give it everything you got. I want Jake Hunter on the mound. I want Nick Moran on the mound. I want Ethan Young on the mound. I want all these guys who you trust the most to get us a win against NC State, because them boys in Raleigh, I'm sick of them. We need to prove that we're better in all sports. And so everything goes out the window when we're talking about NC State next Tuesday. Yep. So UNCW, if we kind of push the brakes a little bit, whatever. NC State, foot's flooring it on the gas pedal. We got to send a message.
I also think with that, UNCW, as good as they usually are, and they probably finish the season really well, they're only 500 right now. Yeah. They're a good team, but the thing is, I don't think they help our RPI that much, especially right now. Now, later on in the year, it probably would help, but I don't think it's going to help. Now, State's a different story. Yeah. It's an ACC school, all these things. I think UNCW is more of pride than anything. I don't think it'll help. I think it helps the pride a lot more than it does RPI, especially later in the year. I don't think it's they lost to UNCW this one time, we're going to bump them down 6 spots when it comes to us getting a seed in the NCAA tournament. I don't think it's going to hurt that much. So
I agree with that, but I also think that's also another reason why I debate between 4-1 and 3-2, because I could see in the weekend series of us saving let's cutting Jake Hunter's outing short, knowing we're going to use him on Tuesday against NC State. Same with Nick Moran, Ethan Young, cutting these outings a little bit short, knowing we're going to try and use them on Tuesday, try and beat State. So that's another reason why I think we could maybe drop one game to FAU, just because of the midweek game that we'd have and how badly we're going to want that one. So that's why I debated 4-1 and 3-2. I am going 4-1 though, because I'm optimistic about the Pirates, and I always will be, and I never want you to doubt that about me. So, gentlemen, do we have any closing remarks before we end this week's?
I'm surprised. I've been thinking about this. I thought about it halfway through after we did our reactions to this week's games. None of us mentioned Alex Boucher. He had a great weekend.
Very solid.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a bounce back weekend, if I remember correctly. But
he's been playing kind of rough.
Yeah, that was nice to see. Did y'all see any errors from him this weekend?
Not that I know of. I mean, I can't think of really any balls going past that spot of the field. Anyways,
not that I recall.
Yeah. So hats off to him for getting better.
We're gonna need him. We're gonna need him.
The other thing I want to talk about, which I hate that I want to talk about this, but we need Dixon Williams to turn up the dial. He has got to be better.
I agree.
He needs to be the guy that carries his team. I think all of us were expecting him to go out and be probably the American Conference Player of the Year this year.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, it's not tracking that way.
It's good, not great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's,
For Dixon
it's,
Williams,
it's
yeah.
good enough, but we need to see some balls leave the park, Dixon.
Well,
we need to. It's been a while.
Or just some gappers.
I'm
Just
not.
some
Yes.
I'm not gonna defute that point. I will say to Dixon's defense, because I heard Cliff Godwin talk about this a little bit. It's not Colby Wallace. It's okay. But to his defense in this case scenario is you've seen some pitchers try and work their way around Dixon Williams. So he's had more walks this year than he's ever had, and these pitchers are giving Dixon their best.
He's walking like
Every
2 to
time.
3 times a
He
game.
does have 26 walks on the year.
Yeah, I say so. He's getting walked more often than. I don't know if he's more often than anybody else. I would assume yes, more often than anybody else on the team. So for that reason alone, you're going to see Dixon his numbers are going to be deflated for that alone because they don't want to give him something to hit. But at the same time, I mean, you're right. I mean, we've seen enough of him. I mean, he struck out a good bit this weekend.
I think that's because he has 24 strikeouts on the year, but I feel like at least like 7 of them from this weekend.
Yeah, I say he struck out a good bit this weekend, but I think I have enough confidence in Dixon Williams just in general to elevate his play. He's gonna.
Oh, yeah.
I say Cliff Godwin's probably gonna say something to him. He's probably knows it mentally too. I'm not worried about Dixon Williams in the slightest bit. But that's all I have for that. If anybody else has any further closing
I don't have
comments.
anything else.
I kind of agree with Caleb, but I do get your point, Nick. I just think there is some moments where it's kind of like Dixon should be doing a lot more.
Sure.
But it's also like you put so much more higher expectations on him.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was the best returning player that was going to be healthy coming into this year.
Absolutely.
And I'm even talking about pitching staff. Like I'm talking about everything.
I agree.
And even probably counting Riley in there, you probably rely on Dixon more than you do Riley. Like because there was moments last year you saw like Dixon's going to be so good for us next year. Like he's going to be our guy. And I wouldn't say he's went below those expectations. I'd say he's for the most part met them, but I think we all kind of expected like exceeding
expectations.
being like 350 already, maybe double digit bombs, you
Yeah.
know. But that's a lot of expectations put on like a 21-year-old kid, you know.
Yeah.
There's you're putting a lot on him, and you know sometimes he might fall below him, but I believe in him. I think he's gonna right the ship, and I mean I think next Tuesday. I think next season he's crazy.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not
hope
saying
so.
that I do not believe in Dixon Williams.
Oh, no,
Do
no,
not get me
I
wrong on
understand
that.
your point exactly because I think this weekend he definitely took a little bit of a backward step this weekend.
Yeah.
I think I understand the points you're making. Nice crack, by the way.
I appreciate it.
But at the same time, I think I just think at the end of the day, Dixon Williams is a good enough player that he's going to fix it. But this past weekend, this is by far not the end of the season yet. It's okay to have one little slump as long as you kind of pick it up as soon as you can. UNCW would be great, but if you pick it up by NC State, I'll forgive everything. I mean, golly, if he has a career day against NC State, I promise you, I'll forgive everything that's about this past weekend.
How are we gonna not talk about your guy?
Colby Wallace? I would gladly talk about Colby.
Because
What a weekend
he
for Colby.
looked
Actually,
good on the bump this weekend.
He looked good on the bump. He looked good at the plate.
Yep.
Colby Wallace started two-way U. Jake Hunter just added to it. Let's talk about Colby Wallace. I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah.
See, Cannon gets on me for glazing him too much, so I wanted to kind of step
You
back.
do glaze them too much.
Hey, now I'm being asked about it, so now it's acceptable.
Like
So let's
Walker's
talk
having
about it.
a very under the radar great year, and I don't ever bring him up.
He had a great game on Sunday.
Yeah.
2 for 4, right?
He did take a step back earlier, though. So, but you're right. He picked it up by Sunday. But you know, Friday and Saturday, he took a few strikeouts. Looking.
Everybody did.
Strikeouts looking.
Everybody has bad
Strikeouts
games.
looking.
Even Colby had a bad game up until the double on Saturday.
Absolutely. Look. But hey, the double was an awesome hit ball, right? It was
Great- it was a great hit ball.
beautifully hit ball. Very beautifully hit ball. But I tell you what, Walker Barron, he did. I was a little annoyed when I just saw him just not swinging the bat when it was right over the plate. I'd be like, if
I thought you were highlighting Colby. What are you talking about?
I am, but you brought up Walker Barron, so I wanted to bring this up too. Walker Barron, you have been great. I understand you're a little fatigued behind the plate because you do get a lot of the catcher reps. You get every
single
catcher rep.
one.
You get every catcher rep, so I do understand that. However, I was a little annoyed 2 strikes, you got to protect the plate a little bit better. You can't go down looking if it's right over the plate. That did kind
Dude,
of
I don't know. Okay.
bother me a little bit, but
Okay.
you know that's okay. Colby Wallace, you're the man. I greatly
Can I say
appreciate
one thing about that?
Sure, go ahead.
Walker has 5 less strikeouts than Colby Wallace.
Okay,
Just so you know.
okay,
Just saying.
okay. I don't care.
Well,
Colby
that's-
Wallace is the man. I don't care.
Gosh, dude, I can.
You might as well be your
because
man.
I want to do something. Okay, yeah. Nick, send us out. Send us out.
Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of TECSpertZ. We'll be back again with you guys next week for another episode to recap what just happened and preview the next weekend. Until next time, thank you so much for tuning in. Go Pirates.